of his game, great at communication, all of that good stuff, and in really good communication with his chapter leaders. So specifically recognize that. And then if anyone else has any good news to share or shout outs to anyone in your network, go ahead. Nope. Someone has to say something. Not going to fly this time.
I guess I'll dive into this one. Shout out to Jake Vancouvering over at ULM. About a week ago or 2 weeks ago, they put up a free speech zone on campus, and he pretty much sounded the alarm and is starting to make some noise about a free speech zone up in his area, and hopefully we can get that, reverse that as quick as it came. So
fantastic. I love it. He seems like a rock star. Very happy with him. Cool. Anyone else? Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Base. Cool. So just a general note about summer. If there is a time for state chairs to fall off the wagon, this is usually when it becomes apparent. And as y'all know, schedules change during summer. Most of you have full-time internships or pretty demanding jobs that you have to be a part of in the summer. Schedules change, which is a little bit different. And so and also there's this preconceived notion that summer is just like kind of a break because students are out of school. And the way to combat that is just setting good habits early. And so I'm really going to stress this, that this month people perform. And there's a few structures that we can put in place, like office hours, weekly call times and stuff that we need to readjust to make sure that you're just setting yourself up for success. But I don't even send out YALCON invitations for chairs until like, a couple weeks from now, because this is the time where if someone wasn't going to LTS, we would know. So anyway, I want all of y'all to stay on the team. I just want you to take it seriously that this is the time to put yourself into action immediately. And also build network goals. So view summer as a time to get ahead, to build up your YAL chapters, any that aren't active, to make sure that you're filling in any holes that there are, to make sure that you can hit the ground running in fall. So that's our objective, and a great way to do that is YALCON. Obviously, if people attend YALCON, they're way more likely to be more active in the fall and engaged and feel tied to YAL. So yeah, that's why that's a priority. And we'll go through some specifics soon, but just a general note about summer. So in addition to that, I mentioned last Hangout that a priority was going to be developing contact 2 and 3 is something that we really take seriously, and it becomes part of our discipline as a team. Looked through contact 2 and 3, and some of them are just scary old, like years graduated. And, some were a little bit better upkept than others. But if it's an active chapter, that means that there's 3 active people engaged in the YAL chapter at the time that is called active. So if at any point there's not 3 people, then it needs to be demoted to rising. But assuming that all of our chapters that are marked active are actually with 3 people that are engaged with the chapter, then we should have that contact information uploaded in contact 2 and 3. And y'all know where that is. It's just if you scroll to the side, there's a contact 2 right next to the contact 1 information. And then if you scroll even further, like all the way towards the end, there's contact 3. So I've archived that information. It's in the Liberty Warriors doc. I think the tab's called Contact 2 and 3 Archive. So you can find it there, all of the old information. But my assumption is that most of it is outdated. So project this week, and it'll spill a little bit into next week and maybe the week after. But something that I really want to make sure that we're focused on is, as we're having these end of the year phone calls with chapters, just to recap, 1, make sure that contact 1 is going to be the chapter president going into the fall. There's some chapters that don't have elections until the first week of the next semester or something like that. So just to note that. but a lot of chapters have had elections at this point. So if there is a change in Contact 1, make sure that that's up to date. And then also get a, vice president or just someone else that is on board with the chapter to fill in Contact 2 and 3 for active chapters. And if it's a rising chapter, if there's legitimately only one person, then it's completely fine to leave it. But hopefully we'll have Contact 2 and 3 mostly filled up. Hi, Daniel. Okay, cool. Cool. And we all know why we do that, right? Because the stories of Contact 1 chapter president going silent and us not being able to get in touch with anyone in the chapter dying is almost the most common story of chapters dying in Central Region. So if we do even have just one secondary contact, that will make your life so much easier as you're looking, to get in contact with the chapter before it goes cold. So Contact 2 and 3. I also put a list of the past year, anyone who's paid dues in the past year. That contact information is also in the Warriors doc, and I think it's called 2018 DPMs. So if you click on that tab, you'll have anyone that has paid dues since January 1st. So those are going to be probably valuable Contact 2s and 3s as well. Just verify that they're still in contact with the chapter and connected and all that good stuff. So any questions, comments, feedback about this mini project? Cool. Didn't think so, but all right. Awesome. And then also a side note of things to be thinking of as you're getting in communication with leadership teams is, come fall, we're going to need a really strong class of recruitment directors. And so there may have been people that have stepped up during the semester that you just don't know about. So as you're having these conversations with chapter leaders, maybe ask them, do you have a different officer in the chapter that, may be interested in an advanced leadership position? Or if you have a really great chapter leader, maybe have that conversation with them as well. So if we hire them on now, we train them during the summer, we put them in action in the fall, or even maybe get them graphing with you in the summer. We can talk about what that would look like, but the time to get that information is now, so that they are ready to go come fall. And to that end, also, if you have anyone that would be a good candidate for state chair, let me know. So that's on my radar. You don't necessarily have to be a recruitment director to become a state chair. That is the route that we're looking to take people through. But especially for y'all that are overseeing states remotely, if you have someone that you think would be a good fit, just let me know and we can have that conversation about, what that's going to look like. But if we want a new state chair, we should definitely bring them on before LTS. Matt's not going to hire anyone the first few months of the semester, so definitely get them looped in now. So cool. I'll re-forward the recruitment director application in case anyone doesn't have it. So Jason's not on the team anymore, obviously. I have taken all of that on, so I'll be doing interviews and then passing them along to you for training, or if you would rather I do training, that's fine too. So cool. Great, so let's talk about YALCON real quick. Recruitment has actually gone pretty great so far. And I know that I haven't specifically asked for any weekly expectation or anything like that. And that's purposeful just because I knew that y'all were in finals and I wanted to make sure that we were getting quality applicants in. So as we finish with finals and are, pivoting towards building a powerhouse for fall, this is something that we need to be thinking of. So that the standard, what we're expecting is just one quality application from each of your chapters. So what that means is if it's a rising chapter and there's only one person, hopefully we're going to get that person to YALCON, or, at least to make an attempt to be there by applying. If they are a hard no that they cannot go, then here's your new priority, is to find a Contact 2 that wants to be involved in the chapter and wants to go and meet Ron Paul and all that good stuff at YALCON. and get them to apply. So standard is 1 quality applicant per chapter. I don't think that will be very difficult, but it will be an ongoing project for some of the rising chapters, I'm sure. Another note about YALCON applications is I know during Summit it became somewhat common practice for us to submit applications for applicants. Also, we had a 30% turnout rate as it translated from applicants to attendees, which is fine because we had a lot of people there. It was a great turnout and everything. But for YALCON, it's kind of a different game that we're playing, and it is absolutely essential that they fill out the application themselves. So the best way to track that is if someone says, yeah, I'll apply for YALCON, you need to get specific and just nail them down. Okay, can you do it right now while we're on the phone? That's going to be the best way to get it in. If they say that they can't, then say, when's the next opportunity that you can get the application in? And literally say, I just want to make myself available in case there's any technical difficulties or anything like that, or if you have any questions. What time are you going to sit down and fill out the application? And more times than not, they'll be like, oh, I've got a class at 7. I can fill it out at 8. Great. That's when you follow up with them. Because a lot of people will make commitments to submit the app and college students just forget, right? Or it falls off their radar, and that's where we come in. So don't be a pest, but just really express that you want to be there for them and just make sure that they get those in themselves. Cool. So again, I know I covered this a little bit last week, but you're going to get the objection of, oh, I don't know if I can get there. I don't know if I can afford it. I've got summer classes. I don't know if I can get the time off. Blah, 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 blah. There's going to be a lot of objections because it's a 5-day conference. So it's a little bit of a different game than Summit was. Get them to apply. An application only means that they're willing to work with us to get there. It's not a hard commitment. And if they haven't even asked their professor or, manager or whatever for the time off, then they don't know if it's a possibility. At least tell them to give themselves a possibility and have them apply. And just stress that it's not necessarily a commitment, but we've got a lot of time to figure out logistics and just get the application in. That's the first step. And then we can work everything out as they're moving into registration. So additionally, I've had a few questions about invites, when they're going to get sent out, what the process is. First round of invites, I believe, is going out next week. There are a handful of people that have been accepted already, but just the invite hasn't gone out yet, so they're accepted on the back end. It's not going to be necessarily like a 2-week window for everyone, but it should be for the people that we're getting in that are quality applicants. I don't want to say this for sure, but if they're a chapter leader that will continue in the fall to be a chapter leader, then the chances of them, and they're not like crazy or weird, then the chances of them being accepted are very high. So if it's someone in the chapter and it's a large chapter, for example, and it's like the 8th person that's applied from that chapter, it might be a little bit different of a story. If you have someone that applies that you really want to be there for a specific reason, I may not know everyone that applies. And so just follow up with me and say, hey, this person's applying. I want them to be a recruitment director would be a great reason why they'd be accepted. And just be in communication with me on that so that I know what that'll look like. Okay. And we went through all of the logistics of YALCON last week, but does anyone have any questions about anything YALCON? Guys, okay, that's fine. Alrighty, so 2 more things and then we're done. So making good time. Quick note about chapter creation. So as we're going through, I guess I've just assumed that everyone graph searches the same way, and that's not necessarily the case. What we found most success in is literally, Okay. I guess we'll start by saying this. When I first started graph searching, and even up until this year, the biggest mistake that I've made is that I've been too picky with who I'm sending friend requests to. And the best way to mitigate that problem is to literally, okay, so you pull it up on graph search, you enter all of your terms like SRAN or RAND or YAL or SFL or Liberty or whatever, and attends this school. You're going to get like a list of probably 20, 30 prospects at a, mid-sized school. Go through and add every single person that likes Ron Paul. And that's not us being less choosy about who's starting a chapter. It's just, it's way easier to tell if it's a good candidate or not a good candidate if you can get them on the phone. And so if you get them on the phone and they're like, oh yeah, I liked Ron Paul in 2008, but like, I don't really know much about him and I'm a Bernie fan, then like, okay, don't start the chapter. But it truly is a numbers game with chapter creation. And so my recommendation is if you're not sending out like 70 friend requests in a sitting, then, start doing that because it's going to yield a lot better results. And we've asked some state chairs that are really high performers what they do, and they really just cast a wide net. And then they do the narrowing down once they get people on the phone, and they get people on the phone as soon as they can. So that's just a quick note that I thought might benefit some people that are having a little bit of difficulty with chapter creation. And I definitely want to go into a little more detail at some point. But as you're going through, just keep that in mind. So cool. And then the last thing that I wanted to touch on was, so things are changing. We're going to get 2 new regions come May 25th when our new regional directors start. So just be okay with that and just anticipate that and know that change is good for an organization, and embracing change is very good for just being in a creating value mindset. So just a general note about change. And also there's a change of expectations during the summer. And I talked about this a little bit last time, but chapter creation, really, I mean, if you haven't gotten an application from a chapter for YALCON, then I would say weekly communication is necessary. But once you've gotten that, bi-weekly communication is probably fine in most cases. And obviously you're not managing activism events, and so expectations are changing. Officially, they will change June 1st, and technically I'm not supposed to be telling you that expectations are changing, but I am, so you can anticipate it. So that we will have an expectation of either an activation and a creation, can be the same chapter, so create and activate a chapter. Can be 2 activations if you have a weaker network that may need more active chapters, or it can be 2 chapter creations if that's your specialty and you really want to grow your network. So it really depends on the state. In states like Utah, where we have chapters at almost every school, it may be a little bit different than Texas, where we have like a bunch of A tier chapters that still haven't been created. So we can talk about what that'll look like individually for you during our conversations together, but just know that that's the expectation, as well as please don't spread this, but we will be introducing activation bonuses to incentivize activation. And this is going to be very nice for y'all because there's a lot of chapters that aren't active. I believe what was approved by Cliff was $100 per chapter that is active. And if activation is standing in the way of mobilization, then that's on top of your mobilization bonus. So it doesn't interact as much. So say you have a chapter that's done an event and has blogged about it, but has not yet reached active status, so you can't get the mobilization bonus. If they do become active status, you're obviously going to get the activation and mobilization bonus. And if they haven't done an event still, but it's a new chapter, you're still going to get that $100 for activation. So there is incentive monetarily to activate chapters starting June 1st. So just keep that in mind and know that while mobilization is no longer necessarily an option because activism events likely aren't going to happen, there's still activation, and you can still earn mobilization bonuses. If chapters have, like, for example, done an event but haven't blogged about it in our active status, you can earn that, through June, I believe. So that's what that looks like for you. And that's everything. So any questions about the new expectations? And you might have them, they're not starting until June 1st, so we've still got the entire month of May to operate as usual. And
so just
go ahead.
It's one active. Oh, sorry, I'm hearing myself. It's one start a new chapter and activate it, or start 2 chapters.
Yep, or 2 activations. So you have activations and you have chapter creation, and you have to do 2 things. So 2 activations, 2 creations, or a creation and an activation.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So you can start a chapter and activate that same chapter, and boom, your expectation is done for the month. Which that should.
Could you start a chapter and activate a different chapter?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's completely fine.
Cool.
Yeah. So I mean, when you put things into the big picture, there's no activism events going on. There's not as much communication. That's just your whole focus for the month, is that and making sure that that person gets to Yalcon. So pretty good deal. Cool. Any other questions about that? So to be clear, your expectation is 1 chapter this month. It doesn't pivot to that until officially June 1st. But I mean, most of y'all are off from school at this point, and maybe in like a week or 2 of limbo. So definitely, I mean, sky's the limit. But cool. Alrighty. Well, if there's nothing else, I will let you go. Thanks for your time, everyone. And I'll be following up with an email with a few different things. I want to get a list of prospects for recruitment directors / state chairs. And I want to set new weekly call times. And also, before you go, does this time still work for Google Hangouts for everyone during the summer? Or is there anyone that it does not work for? I guess if it doesn't work, speak up. Okay. Cool. Well, then just anticipate this this time every week, and we may switch it to bi-weekly. Although I think that there's a lot of benefit of us all getting together once a week. So maybe not, but okay, cool. Alrighty. Well, everyone have a good night, and we'll be in touch soon. Bye.